But we know sometimes you want to just name your city Ryzantium, and now with this update, you can.
And you can do a lot more than that. Let's talk about the major free updates in Civilization VII's latest patch, as well as that paid DLC. The first change in 1.1.1, it's quick movement. Inside of the game options, you'll discover that there's now a new option to turn on quick movement. Very simply put, we don't need to waste time here. It skips the animation. This will speed up your games. What's likely to change your games a little more though are the start positions and the map generation. Start position will now have two options, standard as well as balanced, and the newly introduced option is meant to better reflect the map generation, or I should say the starting positions, of previous Civ games, Civ 5, Civ 6. More random, less perfectly balanced. They will keep that perfectly balanced version, I believe, as the default for multiplayer. However, single player should see some more varied and more random starts. Now, when I look at this, I still see those two rectangular blobs that are map generation in Civ 7, just with some cutouts. I hope this leads to each playthrough being more different from the last, but it's the kind of change where really, honestly, time will tell. Next up, settlements and commanders can now be renamed. Again, a callback to that classic Civ experience. As you heard in the introduction, you can now name your civs whatever you please. Thank goodness for that. It's a small thing, but it matters. Speaking of small things that matters, restarting. Again, another thing returning from previous Civilization titles. Of course, here you'll keep your civ, keep your leader, but you'll re-roll for a better start, you cheater you. Alongside that natural wonder, Mount Everest, we also see easier bulk buying. Fairly straightforward. The city menu will stay open, so you can keep buying things. Granted, this is absolutely not a revolutionary feature, but if you play a bit of Civ 7 and you run into this fairly often because you're probably making a lot of money to buy things, then this will be obviously a much appreciated change. A fix, let's call it. Returning to the developer update, you can see a new notification on the right-hand side of the screen. If you choose to actually look at those, will let you know when a city is being attacked. And there are some pimple-like indicators for the crises events located up by the progression, the age progression indicator. New trade route lens has also been added. This lens, kind of just what the merchant would normally show you, but you can now access it from the map, it would seem to me. And the resources here also receive a little bit of a plain English glow up. It'll now actually tell you very clearly which type of resource it is, bringing it closer to that modded template. And Advisor will also warn you about unpacked troops. Particularly important, of course, as you move through the ages. Commanders will only be able to maintain 6 units, land units, at the start of each age. It's nice to have this spelled out because it's one of those things that is really not that intuitive, especially the first few times you play. You're thinking, what happened to my units? Well, one of the things that definitely happened to them is a related change to readability. They talked a little bit about the UI. It'll be better aligned, more readable, and you can see that around the units here, where essentially every single one of them has had this big black stroke added to the outside of its unit icon to make it, I assume, more readable, more usable. Maybe the trade outposts, the town specialization, the focus, I should say, is also a little more usable here, now providing its range bonus to all towns empire-wide effectively. More importantly here, some rebalancing has occurred. The Railroad Tycoon victory condition has received notable nerfs with massive increases in the cost hammers associated with factories, ports, and railway stations. As you can see, roughly doubled, if not more. Coal and oil as resources have also changed. Coal now gives a 10% production bonus towards railway stations and ports. Oil gives a 10% production bonus to factories. Obviously, I'm assuming a stackable bonus, just like all of those other resources tend to be here. Now, one more big thing that changed the pacing, more so I think than actually the economic one. In the modern age, they have eliminated the age progression from eliminating a player. So, destroy a player, wipe them out, it doesn't progress the age any additional amount. It's also been halved, that effect, in the exploration age too, by the way. Most notably though, the modern age pacing really comes in the final bullet point on this list. Modern tech and civic costs have been increased across the board by 25%. And so, this leads me to conclude that the balance changes that we've talked about actually affect every victory condition in the modern age. and should slow down the pacing across the board, not just with those tech and civic blowbacks, science and culture, the economic changes, but also militaristically. That's changed as well. If you were knocking out players entirely, it is perhaps the least affected, interestingly. Let's move through, speaking of military, and talk about the new civilizations that will be arriving alongside the free update. They are, of course, included in the second part of the Crossroads of the World DLC. Just quickly before we do, though, I did see this update in their Discord where they highlighted that the dev team is focusing on improvements to the core game, and so they're targeting the next DLC, the Right to Rule release, for being later this summer, Northern Hemisphere summer, but they'll share more details on that soon. Let's get back to these three new bad boys: Bulgaria, Nepal, and Simon Bolivar. Let's start with Bulgaria, all about pillaging. Your towns will get food when you pillage improvements, equal to a percentage of the HP and yields. And all combat units receive decreased strength against fortified districts. Interesting. Very interesting wording there. Taking a slightly deeper dive at their civics, one of the key parts of a civ that is often completely overlooked, Hidden Fortress is their unique improvement, as we'll discover, and this unique improvement is a fortification. And it unlocks a lot of other abilities as you move through the civic tree that are focused either on this improvement or improving it further, increasing HP and yields from pillaging, improving mountain resources, adding culture, as well as a focus more broadly on culture by gaining a relic in the schools, as well as great works providing increased happiness and gold from their tradition. Overall, a focus on pillaging, on fortification, and on culture seems to be the broad theme here. You will, however, get a little bit of production, a production base output from that hidden fortress. Again, that unique improvement, not a building. Units on it will also get increased combat strength and stealth, a neat addition, and one that we don't often see. Your commander will help the fight a little bit more as well. Units within its command radius can pillage for no movement cost, so there's a clear synergy there, as well as generally ignoring some of the negative parts of rough terrain. Nepal, as you might imagine, also kind of a fan of mountains, Mount Everest arriving in this update too. Nepal's unique ability allows your warehouse buildings, those generic ass granaries, to apply to mountain tiles as well, but they cost an increased amount of gold and happiness maintenance. If we look at the Nepalese civics, it's a much larger page, but to summarize here, you have a unique power station, a highland power station, and it's built by your unique Sherpa scout unit, which can activate on an unowned mountain within a set number of tiles from one of your settlements. It creates a path of tiles that are claimed for you right the way back to your settlement, and the mountain tile itself is improved immediately with one of your power stations. More broadly, you'll see mention of combat strength, defensive units, a little bit of influence, and mountain tiles, again reinforced throughout. Generally speaking, you should expect to see a little bit of extra food and or science from these benefits as well. And the cherry on top, the power station itself will provide a couple of missing things here: production and culture. It seems there are benefits across most yields for Nepal. Not all that unusual, maybe, in the game, though sometimes we do see civs that are just a bit more focused than this one. As well as these two civs adding to, well, what was really the first part of this DLC, with the gameplay you're watching, right? Ada Lovelace, Carthage, and Great Britain, we also see that new leader, Simon Bolivar. And he's an interesting one. I'm not sure if he's going to be all that good. Maybe I'm missing something here. Attributes are expansionist and militaristic, and you can tell that by his unique ability. You'll gain a free amount, some amount, of support on your wars. Maybe it's a lot, and maybe that's really significant. I'm a little bit skeptical. When you conquer a settlement for the first time, you'll get one free constructible to purchase. Won't cost you a thing. You can also purchase items while that city, that settlement, is still in unrest, so you can get a little bit of a head start on improving its yields, reducing perhaps the unhappiness penalties, etc. Is this a game changer? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. And maybe I'm a little biased because I particularly enjoyed playing with Ada Lovelace in the many games that I've played with her over the last month or so. We'll see. Let me know what you think of Simon down below. particularly, of course, as this video ages a little bit and we start to actually be able to play with him. And that brings us to the end of the video. Thank you so much for being here. Obviously, this patch update is releasing on the 25th of March. So for most people watching this video, it will already be out, unless you're an absolute early bird, in which case you might have to wait just one more day for everything that we've discussed. I believe this is another significant update for Civilization 7. It's returning, as I talked about at the start of the video, a lot of things that may have really already expected to be there, as well as some significant viewer user requested changes that I've seen requested time and time again that will make a difference to the playability of this game. Finally, just a very quick channel update here. Doesn't really interest a lot of people, so I've put it at the end of the video. I've been a little bit unwell last couple of weeks, an infection. I'm okay now, all good, but that's the reason why content has been pretty slow going. You should expect things to ramp up again. Couple of things planned for the beginning of April, but we should return to relative normalcy by about the middle of April. Thank you so much again for watching. Thank you for being here. I'll see you next time.